What's up, everybody? Today's episode is sponsored by LuLaRoe. LuLaRoe is a clothing company that provides comfortable, fashionable, and unique clothing for everyone. The famous soft, buttery leggings that I'm wearing right now are only the beginning. LuLaRoe also has an amazing lines of women's dresses, skirts, tunics, and t-shirts. Go to facebook.com/groups/LuLaRoe, REBECCA, Clark VIP. Enter too many words to get 20% off on your next order. Let's do the show. What's up, everybody? I am Jamie Bedingfield. You are listening to my show, Too Many Words. Thanks for tuning in. If you aren't already a subscriber, you can go into iTunes and make that happen. And if you like what I'm doing here, leave a review. Those are appreciated, especially good ones. I have author Julie Dawn on the show today. We recorded this chat, I would say, in the beginning of November. I was still in the editing phase of The Dystopian, and we were talking a little bit about that and awesome things. She post-apocalyptic creator, so she's got, we had a lot to talk about, and she's also from New Jersey. So we had that in common, and I had a great time. She's really cool, really talented. Her Metal Arc series is fantastic, so definitely pick that up and give her some love. And I will have that chat for you in a little bit. Up here, not too long, I am going to hash some stuff out, do my talking thing, my free therapy. How was everybody's Thanksgiving break? Some people love the holiday. Some it's very stressful, depending on your family situation. And I know that speaking of post-apocalyptic, the result of this year's highly anticipated election has made Thanksgiving probably pretty tense for some families. So I hope everybody is hanging in there okay. And yeah, it's crazy out there, folks. I don't know. But my Thanksgiving break, it was really good. I took that week off, although I didn't end up really taking the full week off. Monday and Tuesday, the kids were still in school, and I had just sent out The Dystopian the Friday before to a whole bunch of people. And I couldn't stay away from my office, my desk, and my computer, and my calendar. And I just kept plotting and planning. And of course, I have another book idea that is now, nagging, but it's just I'm having trouble focusing. But anyway, I'll come back to that. Thanksgiving, first 2 days of the week, I did not really take off, and then once my family got into town, I was able to relax. And my sister-in-law is probably the coolest sister-in-law in the world. Sister-in-laws, for listening, don't be insulted. I'm loving on her. She's awesome, and my nephew as well, and it was great seeing them. And I was so relaxed there, guys. 3 days, relaxed, unclenched. I was so relaxed that I didn't I didn't realize how tense that I was. I mean, even my sister-in-law, within the first few hours of her visit, she's like, "Have you thought about going back to yoga? Because you look like you're going to explode." And I honestly kind of feel like it. I did a few yoga stretches earlier. Super tense. It helped. It did. But then, so it was so relaxing that even the Saturday that they left, I was still in this glow, which continued into Sunday morning. And then as Sunday, started ticking away, started getting very, very unrelaxed, thinking about hearing back about The Dystopian, the projects that I've, scheduled to start this week, my goals of cranking up my article output and all that stuff. And then I feel like it should have been a sign, and I feel like I even thought that. I was like, oh, if this is how the week's starting. And I'm not going to get into it for spoiler reasons, but I will say this. The most recent episode of The Walking Dead really made me mad. And I don't get mad at that show. I love it too much. I'm very forgiving, but I got mad. And this week better make me unmad. But anyway, the whole week I've just been off and moving slow, and it seems like I'm accomplishing things and getting stuff together, but then like it doesn't feel like it. And I'm checking my inbox way more than I should. I'm torturing myself. I have to be patient. These things take time. My inner doubt voice is very loud. It's not a whisper. And yeah, that is my state. I am trying to get things going. I have started really exciting projects and gotten back to really exciting projects. Rebecca and I are getting the Shadow Bearers all tight and deep and immersive. So that's really fun. I love working with her and other things that I can't get into too much detail yet, but things are going along and I'm being hard on myself. It's hard. It's hard to have such a piece of work out there. And, it's been in my control. And I also miss it, if I'm being honest. That 6,000 words or more a day for just about 2 months, and then intensive back and forth with my editor on the project, and just like the concentrated, like all together, heads down, just cranking it out. I miss that. I do. It's, I don't know. But I also feel like totally zapped. If I'm like being straight up here, part of why I'm having trouble really feeling like I'm accomplishing anything and sinking my teeth into the new stuff is because I zapped I zapped the shit out of myself. I really did. So I don't know. I mean, I'm complaining, but about what, really? I couldn't tell you. I'm just funky. I'm funky. What do you want? It's a moody, mopey week, and I've officially used way too many words that end in the Y. So there's that. And honestly, I think that's all I got to say before we get to the much more interesting part of the show, which is the talk with Julie. And again, definitely check out her work. She's awesome. And I hope to have her again on the show. It's always nice to... it's one of the things I love about doing this podcast is connecting and talking to other writers, because it's a stressful gig. It's sometimes very isolating, inner voices and all that, just creating, going for broke, putting your best foot forward, giving it all you got to see if it's good enough. So it's always nice to connect and commiserate and swap war stories. So after this, these notes, this song, I'll be talking to Julie. Hey, Julie, how's it going?
It's good. How are you?
Doing all right. I'm adjusting from mad drafting to editing, so I feel strange, which is funny because it doesn't matter what phase I'm in. I can always say I feel strange.
Yeah, there's definitely different stages that you go through with writing, and you have to kind of remind yourself, okay, this is the part that sucks, or this is the part that's hard, and just keep going.
Yeah, no, it's every step is a grind. Even when the writing's flowing, it's it takes a toll, which, I mean, I don't know if that happens to you, but I always feel that, like, after a solid writing session, it's like, I've used my daily magic power for the day, and now I'm zapped, and I need to rest.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely exhausting. And then you have to also fight that self-doubt as soon as you turn off your computer, not to delete everything. So
yes, or even during, like,
oh, yes.
I'll be...
Well, we won't talk about the during part, right?
Yeah, no, my inner critic, she can be a pain in the butt. So you are also ex-New Jerseyan.
Yes. Oh, how long has it been? I think it's been about a decade now. I spent about 5 years in North Carolina and then ended up on the Oregon coast and have since moved inwards because of the not being able to cope with the impending tsunami all the time. Being a post-apocalyptic writer, that kind of, I guess, is a given.
Yes, it's funny that you mentioned that because, I've been working on a dystopian and then I'll go out in public and I can just like my fiction mind goes crazy. And it's like, okay, I can just totally point to 5 different things and see how the world can end.
Yes, exactly. I try to explain it to people that like in any given circumstance, 10 things are going wrong, like possible scenarios are going wrong in my head. So the fact that I've latched onto writing and can kind of funnel it that way has been nice.
It is. It's interesting the way that you can end up like working out different beliefs or just ideas or like just self work comes out into like different characters and plots, and it's strange sometimes, but it can be very therapeutic.
Oh yes. Kind of gotten used to crying in public at coffee shops, and I'm just like, you know what, whatever.
Well, I'm the one that I'm the one that yells in the street at cars driving by too fast. So we all have our.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. With my dog yelling at a car, thinking about throwing the dog, the bag of poop, but I don't. I refrain because that's dangerous.
These are all very good characters.
So you're in Oregon?
Yes.
I've been meaning to. It's been on my list because it's so close, but I've never been. I mean, we didn't really drive through it when we came out from Jersey, and I feel like I would love Portland the way I love Boston.
Yeah, I'm a little south than that. I'm in Eugene, so it's a little more less city-like.
That's nice.
Like urban farmers.
Nice.
So yeah, it's nice. It's beautiful. I don't know if we're staying here because we're going to go into the organic farming. So we'll see.
Oh, nice. So it might. Yeah. We live pretty close to Seattle, the city itself at the moment, but we would like to have some more space. It's starting to get just intense. I mean, these old gorgeous houses get torn down, and then there's like 3 built on the lot, and it's crowded.
They're really expanding everywhere here.
Yeah, it's intense. And like, I don't know, I look at like my kids' schools and I'm like, where are they going to put all the new kids?
Oh yeah. Yeah, the class sizes are a little extreme.
Yeah, they are. Well, and my kids' school doesn't have like a designated computer lab anymore because they needed the room for a classroom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I sometimes look at like pictures of houses surrounded by land and nothing else, and it's like that looks relaxing. I want to see the stars.
Yes,
we actually see the stars. I was being dramatic. If I look up, I can see them at night usually, but
kind of if you squint hard enough.
Yeah, if the clouds allow it.
Right. So maybe you'll see them in about 9 months.
Yeah. Although today is a weird sunny day now. So I feel like, 5 days of rain will come soon.
Yeah, we're hoping.
You enjoy the rain? I do. I like the cloudy, rainy climate.
Well, one of the reasons we picked the Pacific Northwest is because of global warming and anticipating no rainfall in certain places. So seeing it dwindling over just the amount of time that we've lived here is it's nice to get these beautiful fall days that you remember back in Jersey, but at the same time, it's kind of like, a little weird.
Definitely. I think that global warming, I mean, it's scary. It's something that, if you focus on it, it's like, these little details that I think are like, they're so easy to overlook in day-to-day life. and you tune into them, and it's like, you know, back to that fiction brain. It's like you can totally
Right.
totally take it down to, you know, destruction.
Very easy to go there.
It is. It is. So your Meadowlark series. I started reading the first book. I love the pace. In general, when I'm reading books, I crave that. Get me right in there. Just like, you know, get me in there. Make me just like jump into the character in something, and it's awesome. It's there's a lot of emotion in there too, and you've got these great quick fire sentences. It's really, I'm excited to read through it and read the next one.
Thank you so much for reading. Yeah, the pace. I've been trying to slow myself down at certain spots. So it's nice that people are liking the fast pace. The first couple of readers I had finished it in like 2 days, and I was like, are you serious? Do you know how long it took me to write that? But then in another sense, it's like, well, that's good, you know, but
Yeah, well, no, it is so weird to go from, you know, this private relationship between you and your manuscript to then, you know, cleaning it up, getting it out there, and then it's how do other people perceive it, and it's so strange. I guess that's the theme of the episode might be strange, because I keep saying it. But no, I really do like the pace. I mean, in general, I like fast-paced books, and I like, you know, believe it was Vonnegut that says, you know, like, get to the ending as quick as possible. And I really like feeling like I'm in action. I just like the book I just finished writing. And every chapter is you know, is quick paced. So I like that.
Right. So what is your new one about? Is it Mum's the Word still, or are you doing any kind of
it's
cleans?
What's that? Yeah, so it's still the mass details have not been released yet.
Okay.
As far as, but it's a dystopian series, and it's about tagline, a power struggle over a broken world.
Nice.
And one of the things I really enjoyed about writing it is I wrote in third person following a lot of different characters. And in the past, I've only written first person and have gotten extremely emotionally attached to my protagonist, which is cool. But hopping around, I didn't get bogged down in a way that I usually do. So that was fun.
That's good. It's always awesome to push yourself.
It is.
Try different things.
It is. I don't know. There's something I like challenges. I get antsy when I'm not challenged, and sometimes I'm stressed out because I'm way too challenged and my plate is really full. I was actually talking to my friend about this the other day because she does the same thing, and it's like, well, I don't think I want a full plate. That's why it's full.
Right.
A second helping of mashed potatoes, you know?
Oh, I hear you on that one.
So tell me a little bit about how you found Elizabeth Hutchings and, you know, her world.
So when I started writing it, I thought I would be a writer kind of like, that I would write things kind of like Twilight, you know, kind of romantic and light. And what came out was completely different. So that took a little, growth on my part as accepting that I wrote what I wrote.
I get that completely.
And then once I finally accepted the fact that this is how I write, and if I try to force it any other way or be any other type of author, then it will create bad writing.
It's true. You really do need to lean into it, and that's something that I've needed to, you know, kind of grow into as well. Because like I want to control what I'm doing, but if you just lean into it and let whatever, you know, develop, you know, just go, it does end up being better.
Right. Yes. And as far as finding Elizabeth, I've always been interested in Native Americans. I'm like 1/64th Blackfoot or something. So that's always kind of been an underlining interest of mine. And I stumbled into these legends of Yosemite and got really lost for a while in the research of like what had happened with the colonial colonization of it and the history. And I wanted kind of a way in the end to bring back the tribe's traditional legends back into the world because they have been lost. And I think it's important to research what ancient cultures have passed down for thousands of years that have just been wiped out in less than a century. So she is based off of Florence Hutchins. She is supposed to be the great grandchild of her, the first actual white baby born on the land. So I tried to use a lot of accurate history. There was some playing around of, things tweaking where you have to tweak things to fit in the storyline. But I tried to stay as true as possible.
That's really cool. Research, and where it is really interesting to just go ahead and just dive into something that you wouldn't necessarily explore if it wasn't for, various projects and stuff. But I've found that you can really just, and it's interesting how just straight up fact can, trigger an idea. I like that concept.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of interesting what goes into your work, and you feel like you should add something, and you're like, I have no idea why I'm adding this. At least for me, because I'm not a plotter at all. And then I'll find out later, I'll be doing research, and something just connects completely, and I'm just always in awe at it.
Well, I can't always, like searching for a plot is tricky. You kind of like, it helps to have, to be in tune with your characters and the world that you're building, because then you can just kind of lean into it. It's like, so more times than not, I have something that I didn't plan on putting in there that triggers all this stuff. And it ends up being like what? Like one of my favorite aspects actually of the project that I just wrote, it was just these random details that started coming in at the beginning. And then it just kind of like somehow was just like pulling things together. And I was like, oh, wow, this is cool.
Right. It's amazing what comes out at the end.
It really is. Well, and then taking like the original draft and then, the edited one is also, it's weird. It's, they're so different.
Yes.
It becomes different. How do you like the editing process? I've recently just changed, we were talking earlier about, growth. Editing in the beginning for me would break me. I would just like read all these things and I don't know, it was like, even a comment about like adding explanation. It's like, why didn't I already have that in there? It was like this weird, like, self-beating up thing that I was doing. And, over the last 6 months, I would say that I've come to really just lean into editing because it's like, oh, now we get to make it the best it can be. And I find myself looking forward to it. But it used to just, I would be a mess.
Yeah, I think one of the things that separates an author from having a drafted piece to a published piece is doing that editing. I do a lot of Comic-Cons, and I always have at least one writer at each event comes up and asks me, how did you do it? And I look at them and I tell them, I said, you have to write. You have to sit down and you have to put in the words and you have to write it. And then I let that sink in for a minute. And then I tell them, and then you have to go back to the very beginning and you have to rewrite it, because they say you cannot write the end of your book until you write the beginning. Or is it the other way around? you can't write the beginning of your book until you write the end of your book. I think that's how it goes.
Yeah.
And that's huge. It's so much work. I have my current project. I drafted a year ago, and I'm now doing the rewrite of it. And that first 20,000 words in was just pulling teeth. And then yesterday I got like 4,500 words done. So it was like, finally I hit that sweet spot, but it's just a pain in the butt to get to that and get through those certain words to tip you into finding your love for the story again, instead of this is so much work. And then I'm going to have to go back and edit it again once I'm done. So
it really has to be a labor of love, because it is crazy.
Yes.
Crazy hard sometimes. And just like, just the act, because I mean, the act of writing alone is like, like the advice you were saying that you were giving to different writers is you have to write, and you have to make it a regular thing. It can't be sporadic if you really want to accomplish something. At least for me, like letting too much time lapse during a draft, it's like I can very easily be like, okay, I'm not at the midpoint yet and I'm trailing off, and this other idea is new and shiny. And for a while I was jumping around just too much because I wasn't, kind of holding myself accountable. It's it's funny, and I don't know if you've ever run into this at all, but there's like this misconception that writers don't work hard.
Oh yes. It took me a while when people would ask me what I do, because I write full time. They would ask me what I do, and I at first couldn't get it out. I couldn't tell them, oh, I write. And then once I started to tell them that I write, they kind of were like, oh. And it was pretty eye-opening that people don't think that you're working, that it's just kind of play, and it's like insane. So many people want to write a book, but just the self-discipline that you have to actually get it done is humbling.
Yes, it is. And then you have to go ahead and suck all that hard work down and, take the personal out of it as much as you can and make it like a product that other people can read. And
Right.
It's like, it's like an emotional roller coaster. It's a crazy amount of time. And there is no 5 o'clock, I'm done. It doesn't work like that. I was at a Trader Joe's a few months back, even more than that, possibly. And I was just having like a conversation with the person checking me out and, or ringing me up to make that more clear. And,
Right.
and he was like, what are you doing for the rest of the day? And I was just like, oh, going to get to work. Or what do you do? Oh, I'm a writer. And he was like, oh, my dad always said that if you didn't want to work for a living, write. And I was like, yeah, sure. It's like, we get to make up stories and stuff, but that's like, that comes at a cost. Have you ever watched or read The Magicians?
No.
Well, do that. It's really good. And this isn't a spoiler. But the thing I really like about it, and this is, you pick up on this almost instantly in the show, is that using magical powers comes at a cost. And it just, it reminds me of writing a lot. There's a lot to pull from there and be like, oh, that's just like writing. But yeah, and I went through that too. When people would ask me what I would do, I would just, because I also write full time, and now I have a little bit of fun with it. I'll just say, I make up stories.
Right. Yeah, it's easier to do it that way than.
Yeah, I created a magical creature today, and I'm jazzed about it.
Right. Yes. Which is awesome.
Exactly. But it's also, I don't know if you find this, but I always, it's something that I deal with, I think I probably on a regular basis, especially when I'm, straight up drafting and doing less of the business end stuff, is I almost feel selfish because, like, my family goes about their day doing their thing. And sometimes it doesn't feel like, because you don't have anything substantial to show for it right away. It's like this whittling process. And I don't know. Sometimes I feel like, selfish is a good way. I was writing about this in my blog post a little bit, but sometimes just like the act of writing, maybe because it's like I feel guilty because I enjoy it so much or what, but I walk away feeling a little selfish about it.
Well, yeah, I think there would be something wrong if you didn't. I think that's just part of being a writer is because that self-doubt and guilt is so strong that, when you shut down the computer and you've deleted, 10,000 words and you have like 500 back in, it's hard not to feel like, what am I doing with my life?
Yes. Okay. Well, that makes me feel better. Totally. Or it's a bit like hours will pass and like I was, reviewing edits and like I didn't even get through that much. And I was just trying to work on this one paragraph to like really bring it home. And it's like, wait, I looked up and it was 3:00 and kids would be getting home soon. And I'd be like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also, I don't know how it is, not having kids and writing.
Interesting.
But
yeah.
when I see, these younger authors who don't have kids and their baby clocks are ticking and I tell them, you better write while you can. Because once you have the kids, it's not that you can't make time for the writing, because if you want to write, I think you will always make the time for writing. But that when you close down the computer and you're doing your mom stuff, even if the kids were at school, I get that extra dose of guilt. Like, I'm not out there with a 9-to-5.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts some pressure, a lot of sacrifice, as someone who could be one of the breadwinners, so.
I hear you there. Well, and it's like, it's weird too, because you work from home. So it's like, there's this like, my house is a mess most of the time. I am home all day, but I'm not cleaning.
Right. Yeah. One of the interesting things that I've noticed about myself is that before I started writing a couple years ago, my house was immaculate. And then I don't know if it was just the different sides of the brain switching over, but my house is always a mess. And there's always dishes piled and laundry to be done. And people come over and they notice, they're like, you used to be pretty OCD about cleaning. And I'm like, I just don't have time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you guys don't see the words that I'm doing or anything, but there is work being done. Magic being made.
Yeah.
You can say.
Totally. So as the project that you're working on right now, is that associated with Meadowlark series or is it separate?
Oh, goodness. So anybody listening would probably throw stones at me.
Don't throw stones, guys.
This one, I drafted right after I wrote Yosemite Rising. I kind of needed a break from all the research, and I was just like, let's do this. And I drafted 65,000 words of it, and then I put it aside, and then last year's Nano had come up, so I was like, okay, I'm going to do the sequel for Yosemite Rising. And I did that for Nano, and I got 40,000 words in. I stopped, and I was like, I have to write Anna's story, because she had these superpowers, and I didn't know why, but they felt right. So I was like, crap, now I need to write her story so I can figure out why, because I tried editing it out of the story, and it just would not go. So then Dragonfly was born, and I did that. So now I'm back onto the standalone, since it's already half revised already.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go back to the sequel. So I have to edit I just did the audiobooks for Yosemite Rising and Dragonfly, and now I have to edit the audio recording.
That is a time consuming thing.
Yes, it is.
As somebody that
unbelievably insane, but
no, it's like its own form of time travel. I mean, I edit one podcast a week, and it's crazy. It like I'll look up and be like, "What? That was my day." Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I recorded. It took me 2 weeks to just record Yosemite Rising of full days, and it took me a week to do Dragonfly. So I've been postponing editing them because it's just as much work as editing a book. It's intense.
It is. What editing software are you using?
I used Pro Tools.
Okay. How are you liking it?
I like it. It's pretty easy. I haven't really used anything else. So
Well, I'm asking because I use Audacity, and I feel like I could be using something more user friendly.
yeah, Pro Tools has a free edition.
Nice.
Apparently. So you can use that one for free, or you can do their monthly plan, which is like $30, but then you have to buy this iLok USB thing that's like $50. So you kind of get into it once you do that. But it's apparently what all the professional music artists use nowadays.
Oh, okay. Well, even so, I mean, as far as what you could get subscriptions for, that's not terrible.
Yeah, and it's nice that it's month to month. If you think you can do an audiobook in a month.
Fair enough. Well, that's exciting that you have audiobooks coming out.
Yeah, but it was a little unexpected. I did the whole, the Audible's bidding thing.
Okay. I'm vaguely familiar with that, but
I forget what it's called.
Okay.
ICX or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
Didn't get any bites. Didn't really expect to, since it's erotic horror, kind of. So there's a local brewery that works with indie artists, music artists. So I contacted them and asked them, can I come use your studio? And they said, yeah.
That's awesome.
So I got to record it there, all on their, good equipment and stuff. And now I have to edit it before I do anything else with it. So it's a matter of, doing the 2 works in progress and the 2 audiobooks and, life. So
I know, it's so much. It's tough. And I've kind of I had all these projects in the air, and I put it all on hold because I was like, no, this book is coming out right now. I've got to do it. It's happening. So yeah, I'm getting into editing now, and I'm getting back to the stuff that I left up in the air. So it's a transition week, but
it's wonderful though. I mean, it would be so easy to just start a novel, and then once you hit that 3/4 of the way through, where you're like, I can never finish this. This sucks. Everything I've written is horrible. And then just start a new project.
Yes.
Never finish it. So that would be great. And I got to the point where okay, should I start or finish the 3rd one? But then I have this other one lagging, and I'm like, no, I need to do one, do the other. It's time.
Yeah. Well, but at the same time, I mean, I also like having multiple things, because then it's there are spots where you have to put your hands up and not touch it. Yeah. So it helps to have something else to jump to. So you're not, so you can continue to work.
You're right. Yes. It's nice to have at least two going, because then when you set it aside, I mean, this one unintentionally got set aside for a year, but it's made a huge difference for it sitting for a year. And I still remember, I'm like, I know what's coming up, but I'm still surprising myself.
Well, and that helps because, when you're so familiar with the words, your brain, like you read it back and it's like, okay, your brain just perceived it as it's fine because you know exactly what you're trying to say.
Right. Yeah. And my brain fills in a lot for me.
Yes. So. My brain does that as well. So, Julie, could you tell everybody where they can find out about your books and find you on social media everywhere?
So I am on Twitter the most, just because I tried to kick the Facebook habit for a while. But I still have a Facebook page. You can find my website at julie-dawn.com. Yosemite Rising is free on all the major platforms right now. And you can hit up the Eugene Comic-Con this weekend and get an autograph there.
Oh, nice. You're going to be at a Comic-Con this weekend.
I will be, yes. So it's kind of an extra crazy week. And I will be in Seattle's Comic-Con in March.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Yeah, they're a little intense, but they're fun.
Some fun things are intense. I would say most fun things are intense.
Right, yeah.
Loud, messy, crowded, emotional. And then, so what's your Twitter handle?
It's the _ symbol and then Julie Dawn.
Awesome. Well, Julie, thanks so much for coming on the show. This was an awesome chat.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jamie. I can't wait to read your stuff, and I see you have the Shadow Bearers coming up. That's really cool looking.
That is we're still trying to, I co-wrote that with a friend. So that was really cool to not just be in my own head, but be in someone else's crazy head as well.
Right. Keeping it all switched up and fresh.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah.
Well, awesome. It was a good time.
Yeah.
And that wraps it up for this week. Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks to Julie for coming on. All awesomeness all around. You can follow me on Twitter at @MeBettingfield and the show at Too Many Words Pod. You can find both of me and the show on Facebook under the same names. Read my column in the Matters of Kindness on Feminine Collective. And if you haven't already, be sure to pick up A Magic Unveiled, a magical anthology that includes many awesome stories, including mine. It's available in ebook and paperback, so pick up a copy. And for everything else about me, how to contact the show, and yada, 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 you can go to jamiebettingfield.com.